This is a follow-on to an earlier video, which will be linked below, that covers two more concepts in the medical testing field. For example, in screening tests, these two new quantities answer the question, if I have a positive test, what is the probability that I actually have the disease? And if I have a negative test, what is the probability that I do not have the disease? Now, you might recall from the earlier video that in order to capture everybody who has the condition, we're tolerating a very high rate of false positive results. That means a good number of people who test positive will not actually have the disease. So this is a number that the patient is more interested in. The doctor and nurse and public health are more concerned about sensitivity and specificity. But it's the patient who wants to know, geez, what's the probability I actually have the condition? So if you get a positive test back, in this case a glucometer test for blood glucose, and it comes back positive, what is the probability that you've actually have the diabetic condition based on your blood sugar? Well, the positive predictive value is calculated by taking the true positives, those are these 110, divided by the true positives, the 110, plus the false negatives. The false positives, my bad, right there, false positives. I got to get the false positives, these. And as we might expect, it's actually quite low, because if you look at this, we have a total of 286 people who tested positive, but only 110 were later found to actually have the disease. We had more false positives than real positives. So if you come back with a positive test, you have only a 38% chance that you're actually diabetic. And that's why you have to follow up before you panic and go, oh, I'm diabetic. No, you need to go get a more specific test, a test with a high specificity, in order to rule in that you have the disease. Now, suppose you get a negative test. Are you in the clear? Well, let's check what the probability is that you do not have the disease. You can simply take the true negatives down here. The TN is your true negatives. Those are the 104, divided by the true negatives plus the false negatives over here, the ones that we missed. And there's actually a 98% chance, you can see that formula in there, there's a 98% chance, if it's negative, that you are indeed negative. So if you get a negative test, there's less than a 2% chance it's actually the case that you have the disease. The screening test is designed to capture everybody who has the disease and then some. So if it rules you out, if it's a good screening test, it really rules you out. But if it rules you in, that you'll have to go back and check. So that's about a 38% 38% probability that you actually have the disease if you test positive. If you test negative, there's actually a almost 99% probability you don't have the disease. So this is a positive predictive value and a negative predictive value. These formulas can be confusing. Look them up whenever you have to use them. Look up their definitions when you run across them in texts and other things. Thank you for watching.